Okay, so there's this kid, Jin Jinte. Rich family, ninth in the whole school, the kind of guy whose life looks perfect from the outside. And every single day, a group of classmates takes his money, films him begging, and calls him a gold spoon while they do it. That's the setup. Hold on to it. They shake him down for 3 months of tuition money. He hands it over, and the guy running it, Guchol, tells him it's not enough. Bring the rest to the school tonight. Then he low kicks him in the leg for volume because his friends complained they couldn't hear the impact properly. Now cut to a completely different school and a guy the students only ever talk about in rumors. They call him Magino. Last year, he put a pile of second and third years in the hospital his first week. The school buried it because it was embarrassing, and he got expelled anyway. Here's the thing about him though. No messenger, no social media, no photos, nothing. A girl in his class, Han Yeji, says everybody swears they know him and nobody can find a single trace. Her words, is he a ghost? So Yeji does what a normal person absolutely would not do. She sneaks one blurry photo of him, runs it through an AI image search, and finds a hidden Jinstagram account. Rich kid. Perfect hair. Sad poetic captions about standing on the border between life and death. And it's his face. Exactly his face. Same eyes, same jaw, down to the shape of the mouth. She shows him and he just goes, "That's me, but I never took that picture." Then she checks the profile again and finds the part that actually stops the room. Same birthday. Today. Meanwhile, we find out where Magino actually comes from. Left at a cathedral door as a baby with a note that had a birthday on it and no name. Raised at the Hope Orphanage, going back there next year when school's done with him. He says it out loud like he's reading a weather report. So when a stranger with his face and his exact birthday shows up on mine, he doesn't shrug it off. He wants to know why his life was hard from the start. Yeji is screaming that meeting your doppelganger means you die. He's already asking her where the guy lives. Now back to Jintai, and this is the part that reframes the whole thing. He gets home late on his birthday, and his father is waiting with the report card, ninth in the school, not first. His father asks him what day it is today. Jinte says it's his birthday. His father says no. Today is the day your report card comes out, and you need more mental education. Then he beats him until morning. And Jinte, on the floor, keeps trying to answer the question. Today is. 2 hours away, Magino and Yeji get off in Busan and find the exact spot from the photo. She goes to grab drinks, orders the most absurd iced coffee ever put in a sentence, and Magino stands outside waiting. Which is when Guchol's crew rolls up on the wrong guy. They see the face and assume Jinte. They grab Yeji, call her his girlfriend, and start talking about taking her somewhere quiet to be a nice playmate. They're laughing. They genuinely think this is the kid who hands over his lunch money and thanks them. Then he moves. One of them is already on the ground before anyone understands what changed, and the others are staring at a face they've bullied for months doing something it has never done. He grabs the loudest one and asks him one question. What's my name? Before we get back to that parking lot, you need to see where Jintae's father learned it. He's sitting in his own father-in-law's office getting told he was a mistake as a son-in-law, that he isn't even a real doctor, and that the boy is an embarrassment. He apologizes and promises medical school. So the beating rolls downhill exactly one floor, and Jintae takes it. Then we hear what he's actually been thinking while he posts those perfect photos. He says the pictures would be proof that he existed in this world, that someone, only one person, might remember. And the last thing in his head isn't poetry. It's the nickname they made out of his name. He says it plain, "I'm not Jaejin Jinta, I'm Jin Jintai." Remember that line? Because 200 kilometers away, somebody is beating it out of somebody else at the same moment. Because Magino is standing over Gyukol's crew asking the same question. What did you call me? Say my real name. And these guys, who have spent months making that name into a joke, are on the ground carefully pronouncing Jin Jintai like it's an exam. Then he does the coldest possible thing. He picks up a guy's hand, unlocks the phone with his fingerprint, and goes through it while they lie there. He finds the school, Samcheong High. He also takes their cash and calls it a settlement, on the grounds that they clearly didn't earn it honestly. Meanwhile, the crew's boss gets the news that a nerd flattened 5 of his guys in one shot, decides that's obviously a lie, and puts the word out. Sweep everything from the school to the private academy, find him, call the second you do. So Magino and Yeji head for Samcheong. She's reading school gossip off local parent forums the whole way. Rough atmosphere, nobody studies, bad district unless you're rich. Normal stuff. Then they turn the corner onto the school, and there's an ambulance parked in front of the flower bed. Someone jumped from the building. The staff are waving students back and telling them not to look at things like that. Yeji tries calling Jintai and gets the recording. His phone is off. And Magino looks anyway. He's the only person there who knows exactly what that face is supposed to look like because he's been carrying it his whole life. He gets close enough to see it, and the only thing that comes out of him is the name. Jinjin. Taye. So the kid he came 2 hours to meet, the one with his face and his birthday, is on the ground in front of him, and there is nothing left to ask. Yeji is calling after him. He's already walking into the school. And here's what nobody inside that building knows yet. To every student at Samcheong, the boy walking down that hallway is the punching bag who was outside a minute ago. One of them throws a lazy kick at him on sight, the way you'd flick a light switch. Majino blocks it without looking. The guy stares at his own leg like it betrayed him and asks the question that's about to define this whole story. You just blocked my kick? Jijinjinta? Then his friends spot the face and start celebrating, saying they found him, they've got him, call Guiacol. And Majino, who has just watched his own face die on the pavement outside, walks straight at them. No speech, one instruction. Get out of the way before I crush all of your fats. First thing you learn this chapter is that Jintai survived the fall. He's in emergency surgery, and his father's opening move isn't to go to the hospital, it's to check that the police have been handled and that nobody has been told, including, specifically, his own wife. The secretary reports that he already filled the trunk of the hospital director's car with cash, exactly as instructed, and that nobody outside this call knows anything. The father's only stated concern is whether this ends his career. Then he says, get the car ready, I need to go to the school. Not the hospital. The school. Back inside, Majino is standing in front of the guy who runs the hallway, a big unit called Jaewon, and the crew are placing bets on how far the loser is about to fly. Jaewon kicks him. Majino blocks it clean. They talk themselves out of what they just saw in real time. He must have been secretly training at a gym, they say. He got dumped so many times he made a plan. After one more hit, he'll be a loser again. They genuinely believe this right up until the moment he throws Jaewon down the corridor. And the line the crew lands on is the funniest cope in the chapter. He didn't float, they say, he flew. That's the explanation they go with. The kid they have been kicking down these hallways for months has apparently developed the power of flight. Then Mingu grabs Yeji from behind and holds her by the hair, yelling at Majino not to come closer if he doesn't want to see her scalped, which is a strategy technically. It buys him about 4 seconds. With that settled, Yeji asks what he picked up off the ground outside. He shows her. It's Jintai's name tag off the kid on the stretcher. That's why he's chasing an ambulance, and that's the only reason he's in this building at all. But he can't leave, because they keep coming in waves, one crew after another, all of them shouting the same thing in a face they think they own. His line, what? Are these guys teasers? Why not come all at once? And in the middle of that, an adult walks in swinging, nearly takes someone's head off, and the students scatter screaming. Somebody recognizes him. That's Jintai's father. So now the man who beat Jintai until morning on his birthday is standing in the hallway demanding to know what these bad guys are doing to his son. And he looks straight at Majino and asks if he's hurt anywhere. Majino says he's fine. The father says that's a relief, my son, and Majino stands there working through the only fact that matters, he doesn't recognize me. The man cannot tell the difference between this boy and the one he raised, which is the door swinging open on the whole story. Nobody at this school knows Jintai fell. His own father has just claimed the wrong boy in front of witnesses. Majino hasn't decided anything yet, and he already has a life he could step into. And somewhere else in that building, somebody we haven't met is watching all of it and saying they've been bored, that today feels strange, that it's about time something popped, something that turns the school upside down. That's who we cut to. That's the chapter. The father's cleanup starts immediately. Everyone who saw anything gets told that everything you have seen has never happened. The chairman and the principal fall in line, because he's the one heavily sponsoring the school, and the only person uneasy about it is the principal, who gets told to just do as he's told. Then he says the thing that tells you exactly what kind of story you're watching. Jintai will definitely come back alive. Not said as a hope, not as a prayer for his son on an operating table, said flatly, like a man confirming a delivery date. Meanwhile, Yeji's parents tear into the hospital screaming for their daughter, and the doctors say she's physically fine, it's shock. And when they ask how she even got to a hospital this far away, the answer is a student brought her in a car, then nobody can find him, because that student is in a corridor having the conversation. Majino tells the father flat out, you know I'm not Jintai, and the father says he wasn't mistaken, he knew, and neither of them looks remotely surprised, which is its own answer. Then comes the offer. You're my son for the time being, you should be Jintai. Pack your things over the weekend and move into my house. Majino actually laughs at him, and the father says it isn't funny, that he's in trouble with the boy lying down like that. So, Majino asks the only question he came for. What's the relationship between me and the boy with my face? And the father says that isn't important right now. If you're really curious, accept the offer, and I'll tell you one piece at a time. And Majino walks. He says real parents don't talk like this, that he never wanted to find his birth family anyway, he only wanted to know what twisted his life. If the man won't say it, there's nothing here to see. He leaves it standing in a hospital corridor. But the father already has the next move going. He's pulled in Jintai's homeroom teacher at night, who knows nothing except that the grades slipped a little, and quietly asks whether Majino can be brought to him. He's not done. He's just changed which boy he's working on. And on the way home, Majino keeps trying to talk himself out of it. Maybe that guy wasn't happier than me. I had a warm house. Why was he on the rooftop? Then he shuts it down. We're probably not even twins. They have nothing to do with me. At the station, he helps an old man with a heavy bag, and the old man insists on repaying him by reading his face, because apparently that's what happens when you help a martial arts master. His reading is one word. Avoid. Avoid what? Majino asks. Water, fire, alcohol, women? No, avoid that kick. Because Jaewon's crew followed him to the platform and swung from behind, and the old man's bag is the only reason it didn't land clean. They knock the old man down and joke about breaking his hip, which is the exact moment this stops being a schoolyard thing. Majino borrows the bag, and the train from Sunhong is already coming in. Because he doesn't beat them. He holds one of them over the platform edge with a train arriving and asks a question out of what he calls simple curiosity. The guy is screaming that he'll tell him anything, just save me. And Majino says answer, well, if you want to live. So the question Majino asks with the train coming in is, was it you guys who got him on the roof? And the answer is, genuine confusion. What rooftop? Who are you even talking about? They don't know, which means somebody else put Jintai over that edge. He pulls the guy back before the train, because he wasn't actually going to do it, and stands on the platform genuinely unsure what to do with himself. His own summary, Jintai has nothing to do with me. Oh, it's the weekend, and I've been expelled from school. Meanwhile, at the hospital, the doctors tell the father they can keep Jintai alive, but nobody can say when or if he wakes up, and that honestly they need a miracle. The father says no. A miracle has already happened. He means the boy with the same face. Then we finally see Majino at home, and home is the orphanage, and it's warm. Little kids piled on him. A nun he calls mom, who already knows he was expelled and isn't angry, just says she'll go to the school with the priest and sort it out because she trusts him. And that is the exact moment men walk into the orphanage yard carrying cans of fuel and start setting the place on fire, with every one of those children still inside it. The nun tells the oldest boy to get the little ones to the cathedral. She goes down. And the man running it is the same construction boss with a grudge, who says he's demolishing the place anyway, so he may as well burn it with his own hands, and asks Majino whether he understands yet how scary adults are. And then Jintai's father arrives and drops him. Secretary Kim, stop, bring that kid here. He told Majino he'd be seeing him again, and here he is, standing in the ashes of the one place that raised him, looking like the rescue. The boss is coughing on the floor, asking where the people he called are. They arrive. It's the police. And the kids are cheering because the police are here to help, right up until the detective walks past all of it toward the nun. They arrest her. Embezzlement of state subsidies, forging official documents, unfair hiring and firing of childcare workers, and child abuse. She's standing there saying she has never done anything like that in her life. And the father explains it to Majino calmly, like a man reading out a price. The kids here will now be scattered all over the country. The nun you call mother won't see daylight for years. The place you grew up in is finished, because of you. Then the actual sentence. So, do you want to listen to your dad better now? Jintai. Majino asks if he's really that powerful. And the answer is the thesis of the entire series. Politicians, lawyers, courts, prosecutors, police. There are few high-ranking people in this country or their families who don't owe their lives to our family. How else would you like me to prove it? So he walks into the burnt building to pack his things, and the father says good thinking. That's the deal closing. No punch was thrown. He took the orphanage, the nun and the kids in one afternoon, and bought a son with the receipt. Chapter opens with Majino narrating the rule he lives by, and it's the title of the series. This world only wears the mask of civilization. Underneath, it's still an age of barbarism, where the bigger animal bites the other one's neck and takes a breather. He says he never hid his teeth. And the demonstration is right there. The construction boss is screaming at the police that his men were assaulted. Arrest that kid. So the detective arrests him instead, on assault, intimidation, and attempted arson, while he's still shouting, "Do you know who I am? I'll call your chief." That's the father showing his work. Same police, same laws, different owner. Then Majino says he'll pack, and calls him father for the first time. And leaving is the part that costs. The little ones are hanging off him screaming, "Don't take our brother, don't go." He tells the oldest boy that protecting the younger ones is his job now, promises he'll come back and greet them properly, and walks out of the only home he's had. Then he arrives at the house, and the mother comes at him drunk, delighted, saying her son didn't even call, that he looks skinny. Was he studying too hard? She has no idea. And the father says it plainly afterwards. That woman is always drunk on something. She'll never recognize you. Then the tour. This is your room, and the room is enormous. And Majino's internal reaction is asking whether he's imagining background music playing while this man shows him around. He is doing the bit and being bought at the same time. The father drills him on the only thing that matters. Answer to the name. Jintai. Jintai. Develop the habit, and nobody outside this house can ever know. He spells it out letter by letter. Then he sweetens it, because he's good at this. Scholarships and household goods get delivered to the orphanage through his welfare foundation. For your younger siblings, he says. Got it, Jintai? The kids Majino just left get taken care of, and the leash gets one loop shorter. And the terms are stated out loud. Your life gets smooth from here, you'll enjoy things you never had, and all of it only happens as long as you do what you're told. What you're curious about, you'll learn depending on how well you listen. The cover story is a car accident on the weekend, a week in hospital, and memory gaps from the after effects, which conveniently explains anything he gets wrong. Then the secretary mentions they still haven't found Jintei's phone, and the father says, "Never mind, I don't need it anymore." So a week later, he walks into Samcheong as Jin Jintai, and everyone is careful with him because of the accident. The principal pulls him aside to say only he and the chairman know about the small accident at school, and that his father told him not to dig into it. His instructions are simple: make no trouble, be calm like Jin Jintai was, stay as if you don't exist. He is repeating it to himself like a mantra when Jaewon and Gyuchul come around the corner, delighted, saying, "Welcome back, we have to continue what we've been doing." And he tries. He genuinely tries. He laughs it off, says, "Fine, you guys won. Let's stop. Go to your classroom." Then somebody grabs him anyway. So he asks the question that ends the chapter, "Do you want to follow me on your feet?" Or... A teacher breaks it up before anything happens, so Gyuchul just books it instead. "Come to the dump yard behind the school after class. If you don't, you die, Jin Jintai." Then he strolls off like he's scheduled a dentist appointment. And Majino has to sit in a classroom with it. His orders from the father are absolute: don't be noticeable, don't get involved in anything that could reveal your identity, avoid them for a while. Which is a hard note to follow when a man has publicly scheduled your beating. So he sits there weighing it. Is this a crisis, or is it an opportunity to start something new? That's the whole chapter in one thought, and he genuinely doesn't know the answer yet. Meanwhile, he's on cleaning duty with a girl who cheerfully calls him a loser to his face. He asks why he's a loser, which throws her completely. Good grades, normal looking, but you walk bent over, and you can't look anyone in the eye without stuttering. That's the Jintei everyone knew. Then she gets suspicious, because this version stands up straight and holds eye contact. She starts poking at him. "You're Jin Jintai, right? Let's see if it's really you." And that's when Han Yeji walks into the school and finds him. She shouts one word across the corridor: "Majino," in front of a classmate who has just been interrogating him about whether he's the real Jin Jintai. So he saves it with the worst performance ever committed. He hunches over, drops his eyes, and stutters out, I'm Jin Jintai." Yeji is dying laughing. The classmate buys it completely, because that's exactly who Jintai was. Elsewhere we meet who Gyukwal actually answers to. A third year called Kang Seong-min, asking why the second year group is a mess and how long this is going to go on. Gyukwal promises he'll take care of it today. So the dump yard isn't personal anymore, it's a report going up a chain. Then school ends and Majino simply doesn't show up. He told his class he was going to the health center and never came back. Gucheol's crew tear the building apart looking for him while his desk mate cries that he really doesn't know. And then Min-gu spots something better. The girl. The one who was with Jin Jintai, who doesn't even go to this school, so the whole crew turns and goes after Yeji instead, shouting at her not to run, that it's for her own good. She runs hard, and she nearly makes it. Then it's a dead end at an abandoned warehouse, and they have her. Call Jin Jintai, tell him we've got a hostage, except his phone has been off for what one of them calls decades. And Yeji does not go quietly. She swings her bag into a face hard enough to drop him, and when they check what's in it, the answer is bricks. She has been carrying bricks in her school bag since the day she met him. They're still yelling about the phone being off when Majino walks in behind them. He explains it, and it's the coldest line in the chapter. "I can't answer the phone. It dropped from a higher place and broke." Quick rewind to 5 hours before the warehouse, because Yeji has been busy. She's been walking up to Majino in the hallway going, "Found ya, Majino," then immediately going, "Oh no, sorry, I keep mistaking you for someone I know." She's testing him, repeatedly, in public. And she's not just guessing, she's doing homework. She gets the orphanage address out of a teacher, goes there, and finds the kids unwrapping brand new tablets that just arrived from something called the Myungjae Welfare Foundation. One search later, and the foundation runs a medical center and a biotech company, and the guy who owns all of it is President Jin Sungo, Jintei's father. So the boy who vanished from that orphanage is now living in that man's house, and Yeji has just connected it herself. Her response to solving this? Tell her parents at dinner that she's transferring to Samcheong High. They say it's way too far. She says, "Fine, then let's move." And they move. That's how you end up with a girl in your school who moved cities to interrogate you. Then she hands him the thing she's been holding since day one. She picked up the name tag outside the school, and lying next to it was Jintei's phone. Cracked screen, still locked, and Majino asks what the password is. Turns out it's face recognition. His face opens the dead boy's phone, and what's inside is the Jinstagram and the photos he actually kept off it. Bruises, not one set, dozens, all on different dates, going back months. And there are videos. Gucheol's crew filming themselves beating him, screaming at him to stop crying and bring the money, one of them complaining they told him not to hit the face because bruises there get noticed. That's what they had on him. Keep paying or the videos go everywhere. Not a schoolyard shakedown. A blackmail operation with a filming crew run on a kid whose father beat him at home for coming ninth. Yeji says the obvious thing, that they take this to the police and to Jintai's parents. And you already know why that's the one door that stays shut, because Jintai's father is the man who buried the whole thing in the first place. So she offers a plan B. Her uncle can recover the data off a broken phone, and Majino says later, Today, do something with me instead. Let's clean up the mess, with nobody knowing. Which brings us back to the warehouse, and to Gukuho on the floor telling him he only got lucky and it would have gone differently if he'd been there. So Majino asks him a question. You like doing things that feel like this, don't you? And then he says, the part that tells you exactly what kind of protagonist you signed up for? Don't be mistaken. This isn't about that weak Jinjintai. I'm not getting revenge for what you did to him. Because he says he's doing the same thing they are, preying on the weak. He's just teaching them which one of them is stronger. That's not a hero speech. That's a guy telling you the food chain has a new top, and the chapter cuts right there. So, Majino explains the lesson before he teaches it. I'm going to use the same underhanded methods you use, to show you that compared to you guys, there are crueler people out there. Then he hands one of them a weapon and tells him to pick it up and fight. And the guy actually does the math out loud. It's either getting beaten by this guy, or by that guy anyway, and he's already been hit twice. That's the whole crew's decision process. They're not loyal, they never were. They just pick whoever's scarier that second. Then we get the thing this series does better than most. One of them is on the floor genuinely shocked, thinking, it hurts, it really hurts. Is this actually what it feels like to get beaten to a pulp? He's been doing this to somebody every day for months, and he had no idea. And these guys can fight. That's the part that makes it work. One of them is a real kicker, and the onlookers are saying he must have trained somewhere, that his kicks make up for being smaller than the guy in front of him. This isn't a crew of nobodies getting swept. Meanwhile, Majino just stands there taking it, and they start joking that he's charging up, doing some cultivation technique, accumulating energy like it's a fighting Manwha. They think he's frozen, he's watching. Then he throws the exact same kick back. Same technique, same angle, the one he watched about 90 seconds ago, and the crowd loses it because it's identical, except his has weight behind it. That's his actual power, by the way. No system, no cheat, no training arc. He watches what you do and does it better on the first try. Everything else in this fight is just him being willing to keep going after you're done. So the kicker goes down staring at the ceiling asking how he lost to this guy. And the answer sitting in his head is worse than the beating, because as far as he knows, the guy who just dismantled him is Jin Jintai. The kid who cried and handed over money. One by one they fold. And the noise coming off the pile stops being threats and turns into the exact thing they used to laugh at. Stop. Please stop. And he doesn't stop, which is where this stops being satisfying and starts being something else. He tells one of them he still has to find out how many punches he can take, and that he can't fold this fast. Come on. Those are their own words. Near enough. That's the sentence they've been saying to Jintai in the videos on that phone, and he's giving it back to them line for line, in the same tone, with the same face they said it to. And the chapter's last line is 3 words. There's more to come. Not a threat about tonight, he means the schedule. Which leaves you with the question this whole series is built on. You wanted these guys to get it, and they got it, and somewhere in there it stopped feeling good. That's not an accident. That's the show telling you what it thinks about the food chain. Majino finishes the job by making them record it. Same phone angle, same laughing crew, except now they're the ones on the floor begging into the camera. His logic is cold and correct. After this, nobody's uploading anything, because everybody's holding the same gun. Then the exit terms. If I see you at school after this, even eye contact, I'll take your eyes out. Understood? And a guy who spent months filming a kid crying says yes sir quietly like he's been given homework. Meanwhile, upstairs in the food chain, Kang Song-min is checking his books. This month's settlements are dealt with. Yukohol is supposed to top up what's missing today, and Song-min's line is, do I need to worry about small matters like these? Yukohol is an accounts problem to him. Except, Gucho's phone goes straight to voicemail, and somebody saw him running into the alley behind the school. Song-min says, find him and bring him here. Check everywhere he could be. That search is going to run for a while. Because Majino throws the phone and the videos go with it. Yeji's reaction is the question you're probably having, so is this the birth of a new Jin Jinte? Then she asks whether these people are actually his biological parents, and he says he doesn't know. And he lays out his reasoning, which is the closest thing to a plan he has. The man needs his help. It benefits the orphanage, and unless a miracle happens, the real Jintai probably isn't waking up, so he'll keep being him. However long that lasts. There's also a quieter reason. He says his old life wasn't all bad, but he was always the center of rumors started by people who didn't know him. He's not just taking a rich kid's house, he's taking a chance to be somebody nobody has already decided about. Days pass and 3 names stay absent without notice. Jo Mingu, Park Guchyo, and Jun Jae-won from the other class. The classroom theory is that somebody taught them a lesson and they're in hospital, which is the funniest possible way to be exactly right. And here's the problem with stealing an honor student's life. The teacher hauls him up for a maths formula he's explained a dozen times and screams at him to just memorize it, then clocks that he's got last year's textbook open. Majino was expelled. He's 2 years behind. Then Yeji finds him and reports what she's dug up in her first days at the school, and it reframes everything. The bullying here isn't random. There's a pyramid across all 3 years with the 3rd years at the top. They rank themselves by how well they fight or how much money they bring up to the third years, then group with their own rank into what they literally call clans. It's a guild system. These kids built a ranked ladder out of extortion and take it completely seriously. Majino's response is to laugh at them. Clans? What is this, a game? How do they rank? Diamond, gold, silver, bronze? And Yeji clocks something else, that since he decided to live a new life, even the way he talks has changed. She's not sure yet whether that's good. He says he doesn't need to know more, and if anyone bothers him, he'll just handle it, which is the exact moment the next tier notices him. Kuchio's clan lived well off him. They're getting punished by their seniors now that he's vanished, and one of them points and says, "Isn't that idiot Jin? Come here, kid." So the next tier corners him and asks what rank he is, and Majino just plays along. Can't tell? Are you bronze or silver? And the guy panics because he genuinely is bronze, and he cannot work out how this kid knows that when they've never played together. Which sets off a full argument between the two of them about who's actually worse at games, in the middle of a shakedown, while their target quietly walks off. They only notice he's gone when they turn around. He didn't fight, he just left. And he's already thinking a step ahead, noting that a handful of people are still out looking for Gyukohol, and that maybe he should take some time to go and meet them. He's not avoiding the ladder, he's deciding which rung to start at. At home, he gets the mother again, drunk again, delighted to see him again, touching his face and asking if he just got back from school. And he can't quite get past it, because the way she looks at him is exactly like a real mother. Then he corrects himself. He wouldn't know what that's like. He's also still carrying the cracked phone, and the reason he wants it fixed isn't the videos anymore. He thinks if he can see what's on it, he'd know more about the boy whose bed he sleeps in, and maybe understand himself better. Then the father calls him in with a schedule. He's brought in the A-grade private tutors who will get him into the top university to study medicine. Majino's reaction is just repeating the words back. University? Medicine? The terms get sharper. Maintain first place, and I'll get you in no matter what. And the pressure isn't on him, it's on everyone he loves. This affects the nuns who raised you, and the kids at the orphanage. Then the kicker, it's also the only way to escape your shitty past life. And Majino sits with it and admits the trap out loud. Worry about nothing except studying and living my life. Wasn't this exactly what I wanted? Then he asks the real question. Jinte, what kind of life were you actually living? Now here's what the next tier up actually does for money, because it isn't lunch money. They're loan sharks. A kid borrowed 100,000 won and owes 400 a week later, and when he can't pay, they take his stuff to sell on the black market. And they're thrilled about Gucciol vanishing, because it clears the lane. Their plan is to use his disappearance to jump a whole rank in one go. That's the ecosystem here. A guy gets removed and two more immediately fight over his customers. Then they spot him on the street, the one who got away at school, and their luck is unbelievable. They take his phone as a penalty for running and get confused, because why is a rich kid carrying a cracked screen like this? And Majino does something he hasn't done all series. He asks nicely, "Take my money and go, just give the phone back, please." He hands over the cash and asks for the broken phone. So the guy holds it out, says, "Sure, it's broken anyway," and drops it. "Sorry, my hand slipped." Then asks why he even needs it. Are there interesting videos on there? And that's the last mistake anyone makes in this chapter. Majino actually tries to talk his way out. He says, "I am Jin Jintai, I can't fight here," which is him telling the truth about his job, not backing down. The guy hears a punchline, calls him a comedian, and starts breaking the phone up more to watch him react. So he drops him, and he goes straight for the knee. Not the face, nothing anyone can photograph, just the joint. He's still following the father's rule about not being noticeable while doing something extremely noticeable. And then a grown man walks in and stops everything with one sentence. "You're Jin Jintai, right?" Majino has no idea who he is. Someone from the military? A teacher? The crew take one look and pull their guy out, saying, "That's enough, let's just go to the hospital." Because they know exactly who he is, Kwon Dukyuk. And Majino leaves before he has to answer anything, because Yeji is waiting on him, which means he walks away from the one person who came looking for him by name. They take the phone to Yeji's uncle, who looks at it and asks what happened, because no phone gets this destroyed from a drop. Did a car run over it? Which lands differently when you know it fell however many stories with a boy attached to it. He can't fix it, but he can recover the data. Photos, documents, apps, whatever survives, all pushed to the cloud, and they'll get a notification when it's up. So there's now a clock running on everything Jinte was hiding. At the hospital, the knee is only sprained, and the guy is already promising he won't let idiot Jin get away with it. Then his friend asks the actual question, "Who was that gangster? Did you run because you were scared of him?" And the answer is the best piece of background in the chapter. Kwon Dukyuk had a grown man's build in middle school, and there are rumors he beat high schoolers to a pulp while he was still in it. He turned this whole area into a mess. Then, the part that matters. He left partway through second year because his dad's a soldier and got posted elsewhere. And back then, he was basically Jinte's bodyguard. Jinte wouldn't go anywhere without him. Sit with that for a second. The only person who ever protected Jinte was moved away by his father's job, and the bullying started after. And now he's back, walking up to a boy wearing Jintai's face, asking if he's Jin Jintei. Meanwhile, the latter does its paperwork. Xiongmin confirms the payment came in, then confirms Guchol is still missing, and that his parents haven't even reported it because they assume he ran off with someone. Nobody is looking for him. So his crew immediately asks whether that means they can be promoted into the empty rank, and Songmin shuts it down. What's the point of upgrading into an abandoned position? Prove you're worthy of it first. Even the vacancy has to be earned in blood. Then somebody mentions Kwon Dukyok is back, and the third year says the name like it means something. And the chapter closes on him being introduced to a room, transferred in because his father's here for work, with the line, "I'm sure some of you recognize him." Kwon Dukyok turns out to be the least threatening person in the building. He grabs Majino in a hug hard enough to crush him, yelling that he missed him, that it's been years, that it's me, you still remember me, right? The scariest guy in the district is a golden retriever. The memory loss cover story saves him again, and Dukyok's response is to declare he'll personally help Jintei recover his memories, since he's one of the people Jintei knew a long time ago, which is an enormous problem, because he actually knew him. Meanwhile, the Lone Shark crew are planning their promotion. The knee is healing, and their guy doesn't want to scrap with his own side. He wants to visibly surpass a weapon user called Sangjun and get the seniors to recognize him as the right pick for Guchol's empty rank. So they set a trap. Majino says he's going to the bathroom and gets taken quietly, and Dukyok is the only one who reacts properly because he knows which toilet that is. It's the delinquent's base, and it's where Jintai used to get taken since first year. But the trap wasn't for Majino at all. He's bait. They knew Dukyok had been glued to him all morning, and the whole point was to make the returning legend come running so their guy could beat him publicly and jump a rank. And here's how they treat their bait. They sit Majino down and hand him bread and tell him to eat. He asks if this is a new bullying method, bread torture, and gets told to shut up and finish it or he'll be punished. They're feeding the hostage. Then his phone buzzes, and it's the uncle. The recovered data is up. So while he's sitting in a school toilet being force-fed bread by delinquents, Jintei's whole life quietly finishes uploading to the cloud. Photos first, and they're just cute. Then the texts, and he finds one from 3 years ago that changes the shape of this whole thing. It's from Dukyok. Jintei, how are you? I don't know if this will be the last time I can contact you. You know how often I get into trouble. My father wants me to cut off my past. That's a kid saying goodbye to the only friend he had, because his dad was moving him away from it. The message keeps going. He started boxing, half forced into it, and ended up actually loving it. He got good, and he says he'll never fight again no matter what, because if he fights, he can't compete. And then the line that pays the chapter off. He says if he ever got the chance, just once, anyone who messes with his people gets beaten to a pulp. He wrote that 3 years ago to a friend he was being taken away from. Cut to that same guy in a school corridor, cornered, taking hits and refusing to swing because the rule he made himself is that fighting costs him boxing. He genuinely just stands there and eats it. Then he finds the loophole. He tells the guy that if he can kick like that, his leg has clearly healed, and that it isn't fighting if he's just helping him take his cast off. That's the technicality. And the chapter ends before anyone finishes asking what he means. Dukyok makes good on the loophole. He takes the cast off the guy's leg the fast way, screaming and all, then explains himself out loud. He won't fight again, because fighting costs him the boxing competitions. He needs to clean up his past and find something to actually aim at. And the reunion lands, because he genuinely came running. He checks Majino over, asking if he's okay. Did they hurt him? And then says the thing quietly. I heard you've been bullied every day since I left. Are you really okay? And Majino, who has spent this whole series treating Jintei as a stranger whose life he's borrowing, has one thought. Jin Jintei also had a real friend. That's the line. Everything he thought he knew about that kid's life just got one item added to it. Meanwhile, the crew that set the trap has a management problem because their guy went behind his own leader's back to get promoted. Sungjun catches him at it and asks whether he thinks he can leave and surpass him, and the guy folds instantly. Then Sungjun explains why nobody should assume he's scared of Dukyok. He's one of the few who survived a duel with him. He says it like a war story, which tells you exactly how these kids keep score. And he's a weapon user, which in this school is a whole recognized category, like a class in an RPG. He says he'll teach them what a real weapon user is. These kids have skill trees. Meanwhile, Dukyok has already thrown his own cast off, insisting his bones are strong, while Majino tells him the doctor said be careful and tries to carry his bag for him. It's a normal walk home between two friends. It's the first normal thing in this entire story. Then the father calls. Where are you? Majino says he's walking home with a friend who hurt his arm, and the word friend gets picked up immediately. Don't go looking for trouble. I'm sending a car. Get here now. Because the grandfather wants to see him, and there's training with Secretary Kim, and you cannot be late when your grandfather asks no matter what. Understood. So Majino makes an excuse and leaves his one friend standing on the street, which leaves Dukyok walking alone, and Sanjun's crew have been waiting for exactly that. Long time no see, Kwon Dukyok. Except Dukyok doesn't recognize him at all, which is somehow worse. This is revenge for something that happened years ago and only one side remembers it. And Duke Yak apologizes, says before he transferred, he wronged a lot of people, sorry. Which is the most disarming thing you can say to a guy who spent years building a grudge, and it doesn't slow them down at all, because they did their homework. He's registered for a competition coming up, and last time he nearly got punished for fighting and had to write an apology letter. That's why he only broke a cast instead of a face. They know he can't swing back. So they come at him in a group, knowing his hands are tied, and the last thing he does is shout at his friend to run. Then the chapter cuts. He gave up fighting to have a future, and these guys price that in. We get Duke Yak's origin story while he's taking the beating, and it's not a hero's. He says it started as friends forming groups and fighting other people, the way he thought real men protected friendships. Then the honest part. The more he fought, the more satisfaction he got out of it. He says straight out that he enjoyed trampling people weaker than him. That's not a misunderstood tough guy. That's the same animal as everyone else in this school, describing himself. And the thing that stopped him wasn't losing. It was a friend telling him to stop ruining his life. So he made two promises, one to his father and one to his true friend Jin-tae, and he's been keeping them ever since. Which is what Sang-jun's crew are counting on, and they escalate it properly. Phase 2, they say, and they grab a smaller kid instead, because they worked out that Duke Yak can eat any amount of punishment himself. And when he sees the kid getting hit, he says the line that makes this chapter work. At that moment, I saw my past self on his face. He isn't just watching a kid get hurt, he's watching what he used to do to people. So he accepts it. He tells them to let the kid go and take their revenge on him instead, and he decides internally that because of what he did back then, this was always going to happen eventually. He's not being victimized, he thinks he's paying an invoice. Then the price goes up, kneel, and he does. And the narration is careful about what that meant to him. This wasn't submission to that kid, it was atonement. Then they make him crawl under their legs, and they say the quiet part with a grin. Didn't you used to make people do this all the time? It's your turn now. This is a receipt being handed back to him move for move. And you need to understand he could end this any second. He works it out himself. If he throws a punch here, he'd face some annoying procedures, but it would be justified, and it wouldn't actually kill his boxing career. So why doesn't he? Because he knows this ecosystem from the inside. Once he beats these guys, they come back with stronger people behind them, and then it never stops. He was that guy. He can't fall back into an endless spiral of revenge. That's a genuinely hard piece of writing, by the way. Every instinct you have watching this wants him to swing, and the show has him kneel in the dirt instead, for reasons that are completely correct. And then a scooter comes down the alley. Somebody yells at the rider to stop riding it, and the rider says, "But I wasn't," which is a sentence that only makes sense for about half a second. Because Majino has arrived, and he's holding something, and his opening line is aimed at the weapon guy. Look at these idiots. What are those weapons supposed to be? True weapons need to be on this level at least. In the car, Secretary Kim hands him a hot chocolate and says the young master always drank one before meeting his grandfather, because he said it calmed him down. Majino's reaction is the whole relationship in one line. How does he act completely normal when he knows everything? Then he asks Kim a question that isn't about him. After Jin-tae started high school, did he ever have a friend? And Kim says he's sure Majino has never seen Jin-tae joking around and laughing with anyone, because it never happened. So Majino asks him to look at it straight. Does a Jin-tae like that look happy to you? Then he says, the thing he's decided, Secretary Kim, Jin-tae has finally got new friends. I'll be back right after I deal with this, before the hot chocolate goes cold. Understand what he's doing here. He is late to the grandfather, he cannot be late for, and he goes anyway, for a friendship that technically belongs to the boy whose name he's wearing. And Kim covers for him. He phones the president and reports a minor traffic accident on the way, apologizes, says he'll sort it out and bring another car. That's a bodyguard lying to a man like Jin Sungo so a kid can go help somebody. Majino grabs a scooter off some poor guy in the street and rides in shouting at the crew to come catch him. They chase him into an alley and celebrate the dead end, and he has to correct them. Don't misunderstand. It looks like you cornered me. I lured you here. Because he set the whole thing up. Everything after that is just physics and traffic. They come out of it screaming about going to the pool room and putting everyone's head on the ground all night, which is the sound of a group that has completely lost the plot. Then he gets home in time, and the house is worse than the alley. His read on it, what an uncomfortable atmosphere. It's way different from the family I imagined. Nobody's late, nobody's fighting. That's the problem. Then he goes and finds Secretary Kim at his villa, thanks him for not telling his father, and then gets to the real reason. You're not an average secretary, are you? You're a bodyguard. And Kim's place is full of equipment that looks straight out of a movie. Majino asks if he's got guns too, gets told to stop joking and say what he came for, and Kim offers him help with whatever this is. He turns it down. His line is that this is a matter between children, so it should be resolved by children, which is a rule he's setting for himself, and it's the only reason this series doesn't end in one phone call from a billionaire. He does ask for one thing though. He says he saw something good just now, and asks if he can borrow it, Whatever that is, it came out of a professional bodyguard's kit, and he's taking it to a fight with high schoolers. Meanwhile, Sangjun's crew are too angry to wait for tomorrow, and they've taken over a pool hall, wrecking it while the owner tries to tell them that they're regulars, but this is a bit much. That's where this is heading, and it's happening tonight. So the thing he borrowed off the bodyguard is night vision. Real military issue, not the toy version. And his reason for wanting it is one sentence long. I just need to be able to tell where their heads are. Then he kills the lights on a pool hall full of people. Cut to dinner with the grandfather, who has heard about the exam slip. He says it's fine to make mistakes here and there, but a grandson shouldn't make the same one twice, and you'll place first next time, right, Jin-tae? And the father says, don't worry, father-in-law. Then his phone buzzes with update number 2 from the recovery, and he excuses himself to the toilet to read it. Behind him, the grandfather is saying he can't believe that timid kid is his only grandson, and the father is apologizing for him. And what came back is a diary app. Jin-tae kept a diary, starting first year of high school, and Majino sits in a bathroom and reads a dead boy's account of his own life from the beginning. And here's the part that hurts. It starts happy. First entry, no major problems. He writes that he got friends who were delinquents but quite manly, with a little question mark after it, because even he wasn't sure. They call his name and he lights up. Then it turns 1 degree at a time. They ask if his family's well off, then whether giving them snacks even counts. Take us for a real meal tonight. He says he has extra classes, so they say fine, just give us money and we'll go have fun ourselves. And he does. And they talk themselves through it exactly the way you'd expect. We're just borrowing from a friend. If there's a problem, we'll give it back. It's not our first time. You can tell from one look, that idiot's probably bad at speaking even at home. Jin-tae's own words for it, they started sticking to me and sucking my blood, and like they were testing my limits, the things they did got worse and worse. That's a kid watching it happen to himself and having no idea where the line was. Meanwhile, at home, he brings back a prize from a contest, and his father asks if he's joking or rebelling, and why he can't focus on his studies. Then, do you have an empty brain too, just like your mother? There was no safe room in this kid's life. Not one. And the last recovered entry is how the name started. One of them says it's heartless to just use his name, so they should give him a nickname. Jin-tae, Jin-tae, Jin, Idiot Jin. Everyone laughs. Doesn't he look like an idiot? Jin-tae's last written line is, that's when my life as Idiot Jin started, and then the recovered data ends. That's all there is. That's the whole diary. So back in the pitch-black pool hall, Majino is going through them one at a time while they swing at each other by mistake, screaming that they can't see, that the lights won't turn on, that those bastards started it first anyway. And when the last one asks why he's being treated like this, Majino gives him his own words back. Doesn't he look like an idiot? The way you look just makes me want to beat you up, so that's why I'll give you a good beating. Quick step up the ladder, because this school isn't the only one on it. Kang Sung-min gets cornered by a crew from Baeksan High who came all the way over to grab him, and he's completely unbothered about it. They tell him he still hasn't lost his form, and he asks why he'd keep any sportsmanship in a fight. Isn't this a real one? That's the 3rd year at the top of Samchong. He doesn't do rules, he does outcomes. And he brought exactly one person with him. The other side thinks it's a joke until somebody recognizes the guy, a 2nd year called Hanjun, and the mood flips instantly. One of them starts asking whether they should call 10 more people. Shomin tells them not to worry, because only June is going to be doing the fighting. So now you know the shape of the top of this pyramid. The leader doesn't fight, he brings one guy, and one guy is enough. Meanwhile, we finally get a name on the next tier down. Hong Jae-young, 2nd year, leader of C-Clan. Remember him, because he's the one waiting at the end of all this. And the report reaching him is that the E-Clan kids tried to jump Kwon Dukyok during the day and failed. His reaction is the line of the chapter, foolish kids. Why bother disturbing a sleeping bear? Then he tries to call Sonjun and Kitai and gets a busy line, so he asks where they are, their usual pool hall, so he sends June over there. Which means the scariest fighter in this story is now walking toward a building where every light is off. Inside, Majino is still working, and the exchange he keeps having is the same one every time. Who are you? Why are you doing this to me? And his answer is deliberately nothing, no reason. It's just that you're asking for a beating. Which is word for word what these guys have been telling every kid they ever picked. He is running their own script back at them with the lights off. One of them gets a look at him in the dark and thinks, just by looking at him I can tell he's a loser. Which is exactly what everyone thought about Jin-tae, and it's about to be the last thing that guy gets wrong tonight. And the noise in the room changes into the same 2 words on repeat. Please spare me. From the crew who spent this arc talking about putting an entire pool hall's heads on the floor all night. So he tells them what this is, one more time, and is the thesis of the whole series in 2 sentences. I told you, I'm just kicking your ass, that's what you asked for. You beat other people as you like. Can't I do the same? That's not a hero cleaning up a school. That's a guy proving the rule they all live by works in both directions, and the chapter leaves you sitting in a dark room with the sound of them finding that out. Somebody calls the police to the pool hall, and Hanjun, the one guy Songmin brought, gets there first and tells the survivors to wake up and run. Whatever he walked in on was enough that his instinct was to clear the room before anyone official saw it. Every one of them ends up at Director Seo's hospital, and nobody can explain what happened. The power was out, so the CCTV has nothing. The only thing anyone can say for sure is that the kids got beaten to a pulp without any mercy. So Hong Jae-young, C-clan leader, does the obvious maths. The only person who'd do this is Kwon Duk-yeok, since the same kids tried to jump him that afternoon. He's completely wrong, and it's the most reasonable conclusion available. His crew offers to investigate, and he says, "No, don't poke him carelessly, let's just watch for now." That's the difference between him and everyone Majino's fought so far. This one is patient. There's also a loose thread that bothers him. Songmin first claimed he didn't know who Kwon Duk-yeok was, then let the whole provocation slide. The guy at the top of the school is quietly avoiding this, and his own people notice. And then, Jae-yoon lands on the thread that actually matters. Kwon Duk-yeok is close with Jin Jin-tae. That's the first time anyone in this school has drawn a line from the violence to that name, and he draws it himself, unprompted. Majino gets home and returns the night vision, thanks Secretary Kim, and says he hopes he won't have to ask for help again. Kim tells him he can come anytime, then tells him to go in quietly because the president and madam are sleeping. Next morning, Duk-yeok's friend nearly blows it. He's sure he saw Jin Jin-tae riding a kick scooter through town during the fight. Majino goes, "What scooter? I was visiting my grandfather," and the guy is left standing there knowing what he saw. Then Hong Jae-young walks up to him personally. And here's the thing about him. He's the leader of a delinquent clan, and he's exceptionally good at studying, top marks in every subject, which is why Jin-tae was never really bothered by him. His whole conversation is small talk about the mock exam. Have you prepared well? And when Majino says more or less, he smiles and says, "You'll obviously do well, I'll look forward to it." That's not friendly. That's a man setting a trap with a test score. Because Majino has no idea he's just been measured. He walks off thinking the guy is kind of annoying and repeating the phrase back to himself. "You'll look forward to it?" Then the chapter takes a breath, and it's earned. Duk-yeok wants lunch, Majino says he has plans. He promised Yeji he'd study at the library, and Duk-yeok completely loses it over the idea that Jin Jin-tae might be dating someone. And at the library, Yeji finds out the expelled orphanage kid quietly solved everything she said him, understood all of it first time, and calls the hard stuff easy. She goes, "You're surprisingly smart." He says he hears that a lot. First time this show's let him just be good at something. Majino makes a decision in the library that matters more than any fight so far. He's going to study properly from now on. Not for his father, not for anyone else. For himself. That's the first thing in this entire story he's chosen because he wanted it. Then we find out why the library's always empty. There's no librarian, it's run by the Literature Club, and the C-clan took over the Literature Club. So they use the library as their hideout, which means no student ever goes in there. And Majino, who has decided to be a student, actually asks them to do their job. If you're the Literature Club, shouldn't you manage the library so other students can use it? Which goes about as well as you'd expect. They tell him he must be out of his mind and remind him there's unfinished business between them, which is news to Majino and news to Yeji. Then one of them says, "Pull that girl out first," and everything is about 2 seconds from going very badly. And Hong Jae-young stops it, one word, stop, and they freeze instantly. Then he tells Majino to carry on studying, takes his whole crew out for lunch, and says, "See you later, Jin-tae," perfectly polite. Yeji clocks it immediately, and it's the right question. What kind of connection does Hong Jae-young have with Jin Jin-tae? Because that wasn't a leader keeping order, that was somebody protecting him. Meanwhile, the tutors report to the father. Good comprehension, good analysis, creative, but he's lost a year or two of material from the head injury in that car accident, which is their honest read on a kid who was expelled and never learned it in the first place. The good news is he memorizes fast. The bad news is the mock exam is in 1 week, and the father tells them that if the score comes out low, it'll cause problems later, so pay a lot of attention to it. Then he sets the schedule himself. From today until the day before the test, sleep 3 hours a night and study the rest. Majino starts to say he'd already decided to work hard, but in that short a time, and gets cut off. "Don't answer my words." And what's with that look? Then the sentence that tells you exactly who this man is. It's only natural for the rich to discipline the poor. And then the carrot, which is always the same carrot. Do well, and I'll sign a catering contract for the orphanage. Don't you think your siblings would like that? It all depends on how well you listen to me. Every single time, he pays in other people's children. Left alone with it, Majino finally says the thing out loud. Bothered by kids at school, beaten by your father at home. Have you been living like this, Jin Jin-tae? He stopped treating that life as a costume. Then update 3 from the phone lands, more photos recovered, and one of them stops him cold. It's a picture of a button. Just a button. And somewhere across town, a man is renting equipment and asking about a kid who withdrew a large sum of cash and put it in his bag. Hong Jae-young has Majino brought to him, apologizes for startling him, says he's been touchy with the mock exam coming up, and clears the room. Then he shows him a device and asks, "Isn't it cool?" and mentions it's quite small too. And it's a camera built into a shirt button, which is when Majino remembers the photo that came back off the dead boy's phone, a picture of a button. Jin-tae photographed it because Jin-tae had worn one. Because this is what Hong Jae-young actually does. He doesn't shake kids down for lunch money. He runs an exam cheating operation, and Jin-tae was his camera. And his complaint is that Jin-tae came 9th on the last midterm when he was told to deliberately take 12th, and that it made the situation difficult. Think about that. The beating from his father over 9th place happened because a classmate ordered him to score lower. The setup is simple. Wear the button on exam day, show your paper clearly, and solve the questions. Jae-young watches the feed, and a guy he's hired reads the answers into an earpiece. Number 3 is 4, number 4 is 5, number 5 is 2. And the lock on it is beautiful and horrible. He tells Jin-tae not to talk, because he still holds the evidence that Jin-tae cheated last time. He knows he'd go down too, and he says it plainly, "You'll never get into medical school, and I won't sink alone." So, Majino finally understands the thing that's been bothering him all series. Jin-tae ruined the last exam on purpose because he was scared of being caught cheating. Every awful thing in that kid's life was somebody else's arrangement. His move is to go back to Secretary Kim and ask for help again, and Kim's only complaint is that he keeps using it for free. Then he says, "Let's go, we've got no time. Whatever he's building, it needs a week." And here's the detail that reframes him. The tutors work out that right up to middle school he studied in terrible conditions and still sat in the top percentile. The gap is only the year he lost. Their conclusion, there's no such thing as a naturally stupid brain. So for 1 week, for the first time in his life, Majino gets to fully immerse himself in studying. No fights, no ladder, no father in the room, just an orphanage kid with a desk and enough time. The show treats that like the reward it is. Then it's exam morning, and Jae-young's crew are running comms checks in the building. Does the view look good on your side? Yes, clearly visible. Can you hear me? Yeah, we can hear you well. It's a broadcast operation inside a high school. And Jae-young comes for one last check because he's nervous about the memory loss. Jin-tae, ever since that car accident, there's something weird about you. This mock exam isn't going to be a shambles, right? Do it well, you got me. And then Dukyok turns up with his cast-off, asks Jin-tae if he prepared well for the exam, and immediately follows it with, "We have an exam today?" Which is the single funniest possible line to land on top of all that. Turns out the guy running the cheating ring has the same house Jin-tae did. Hong Jae-young gets home late and his mother is on him instantly. "Get yourself together and study properly. You have to get good grades or I'll get scolded by your father." And his little sister Jae-hee defends him and calls their father a jerk who's angry at them because he hates them, and the mother panics at the word. Then the father appears, says, "Tomorrow's the exam. We'll talk once the results come out. Prepare yourself, clear up your desk." So the villain of this arc is a kid being squeezed by his father over a test, cheating to survive it, and running a blackmail operation to keep the machine fed. Same house, same pressure, different coping strategy. This series does not do random bad guys. Then we get Majino's childhood, and it's the same theme from the other end. The nun is told he's smart enough for a gifted program, and she says of course he has to go. This is a good chance for a kid like him. Then quietly asks for time, because the orphanage isn't doing well. And little Gino says he doesn't want a gifted school, he just wants to go to a normal one. Because he's already worked out, it costs money they don't have, and he's watching her skip hospital visits she can't afford. His line to her is, "Mom, I'll study hard from now on, please watch over me." Which is exactly what he's doing in the present, in a rich man's house, with her sitting in a cell on charges that man invented. So the exam runs, and in Jae-young's room, the answers are getting read out down the line. Number 11 is 2, 12 is 4, 13 is 4, all the way to 30. The machine works exactly as designed. And afterwards, Majino's classmates are stunned at him. "You didn't score well at midterms, but this time you did good. Looks like you've recovered from the accident. At this rate, you're going to take first place." One of them says the quiet part, "When you first asked about the school materials, I thought you hadn't studied for a year." Which is precisely true, and nobody in that room will ever guess why. Meanwhile, in the other room, the mood is different. We're doomed. We're completely doomed. What do? We might get killed by that old man. Something has gone very wrong with the operation, and they know it before Jae-young does. Then his guy reports back from class 7, and it's the one sentence that breaks the whole scheme. It seems like Jin-tae got good scores though, because Majino didn't wear the button, didn't take the answers, and just sat the exam. And doing well is the betrayal, because the whole ring depended on Jin-tae being a camera that scores exactly what it's told to score. So Jae-young completely loses it. Jin-tae. That motherfucker. I'll kill him. Bring him to the library now. And that's the chapter on the smartest guy in the school screaming for a boy he thinks is the easiest mark he's ever had. Quick note on Hong Jae-young before this goes off, from Dukyok's friends. He looks like a guy who died from one flick, and he leads a clan anyway because he didn't get there on strength. He got there doing cowardly things. And Dukyok's response is the most honest thing anyone says all chapter. "Well, I'm not sure if fair play is really a thing in a fight." That's this whole show in one shrug. So they take Majino to the library and start swinging, and the confusion begins immediately because he blocks it. Jin-tae could block this? Did he learn martial arts somewhere? They keep asking that question and never once believe their own eyes. Then, Jae-young gets to the actual question. I heard you did well on the test. What did you do? How did you do it? Because in his head, there is no version of this where the kid simply studied. Now here's where Majino's week of prep pays off. Rewind a few days, a woman bumps into Jae-young in the corridor, apologizes, notices his button has fallen off, and insists on sewing a new one on for him. He has no idea what just happened. Because that was the swap. And Yeji's uncle intercepted the network, which he says is not a big deal, and that's how they've been sitting inside Jae-young's own camera feed the entire time. He borrowed the button trick and pointed it back at the guy who invented it, and the recovered notes filled in the rest. After the button photo, there was cheating material, which is how they knew what to look for. Jintai documented the whole operation on the phone that fell off the roof with him. Meanwhile, Jae-young's little sister Jae-hee hears her brother screaming through a door and finds out what he actually does at school, and somebody has to tell her the truth. Jintai didn't cheat. Your brother threatened him so he could copy off him. And Dukyok has heard enough. His friends are yelling that he can't get involved in a fight, that he'll lose everything he's rebuilt. His answer, I can't stand them harassing my friend like that. He asks one practical question first. Did you say their hideout is the library? Because the C-Clan broke every CCTV in that hallway themselves, which means there's no footage of anything. His read, good, then there won't be any evidence. That's the loophole he's been waiting for. The clan destroyed the cameras to protect themselves, and in doing so, they removed the only thing that could ever cost a competing boxer his career. They built a room he can finally fight in. So he walks in and tells them to bring it on all at once, and they do. And it goes exactly how you'd expect from a guy who spent 3 years boxing and holding back. One of them just asks, "What are you, a monster?" And in the middle of it, somebody finds something on the floor and asks what it is. A perfume? It isn't perfume. Whatever Majino borrowed from a professional bodyguard this time, it's already in the room, and the chapter cuts before anyone works that out. Jae-hee gets in the way of her own brother's crew to stop them touching Majino, and one of them puts her down hard. And the guy who did it gets told off by his own side. You should have been more careful, you could have killed her, Sunbae. Then update 4 lands from the phone, and it's more of Jintai's diary. The title of the entry is My Poor Friend Jae-young, not my enemy, my poor friend. Because they grew up together. Different schools, but the families knew each other and they got close through a tutoring group. Jae-young had been doing advanced studies since he was tiny and was genuinely brilliant. Jae-hee, his stepmother's daughter, was the same age, and the 3 of them were friends. And Jintae writes that Jae-young and Jae-hee were under far heavier pressure than he ever got from his own father, which given what we've seen of his father is a genuinely alarming sentence. Especially Jae-young, with a stepmother who only ever favored her own daughter. Then the drift. Same high school, and Jae-young starts bending, starts making new friends, the kind who say don't worry about the money, of course, my friend. Jintae's words, that's how Jae-young crossed the river of no return. Then he hires the cheating specialist and starts pressuring the one friend he has left and hitting him when he refuses. And here's the line that makes this chapter hurt. Jintae writes, rather than being scared of him, I pitied him. A kid having a harder time than me. I wanted to help, but I had no power to do so. I'm sorry, Jae-young. That's the last thing in the diary about the guy currently ordering people to beat him. So Majino clears the room. Yeji, take Dukyok and get out of here. Then he tells him he's fine, that he has something to talk about with his old friend. He says, old friend, and he means it on Jintai's behalf. Jae-young hits him with something and gets a review instead of a reaction. Ah, it stings. What? I said, it stings. It won't work twice, which is the point where the balance of the room quietly inverts. And Majino tells the dead boy what he thinks of his mercy. Jintai, there is no time for you to be worried about others. There's nothing about him to pity. What's the big deal about not receiving love? Because he's got receipts on that one. He remembers being the orphanage kid people talked about, that you can really tell he's growing up without parents, that he must have stolen it. He has no patience left for a rich kid who turned cruel because his stepmother was cold. So his actual demand isn't revenge. Come to your senses, Hong Jae-young. Because you're not just ruining your friend's life, you're ruining your siblings and your own too. That's a beating being used as an intervention. And the chapter ends on the reason none of them can escape. Jae-hee is in hospital, they've covered it up as an exercise injury, and their father is away in the US. And when he was told his children were in a car accident, the thing he asked was whether the mock exam went well. Jae-young tries to quit, and finds out he can't. His seniors want to know exactly how much he thinks his membership fees bought him, and spell out the terms. You can join whenever you like, you can't leave as you please. Then they visit him in hospital, joke about applying heat gel, tell him to rest up and come back to school, and promise to take revenge on Kwon Dukyok for him. He knows it wasn't Dukyok. He says nothing. And you can watch him do the maths in real time. Or is it better if I let him be, instead of making him go after Jintai? Then the question that's eating him. Is Jintai really the same Jintai I know? Then he sees Majino at the hospital, and lands on the only conclusion he can. There wasn't even one peaceful day for you either, huh? He thinks he's looking at his old friend visiting a hospital for the same reasons he is. Meanwhile, the latter escalates again. Jae-young has now been beaten at the library. The seniors are asking how many times this has to happen, and a name comes up that we haven't heard yet, Seo Ji-woon. Remember that one? And they bring in a guy called Kim Sung-woon, who just got out of a youth detention center. When they ask if he'll be okay, his answer is, "I'll be fine, Sunbae, as long as I don't kill him this time." Sung-joon also learns it wasn't Duk-yeok at the pool hall and shrugs. Doesn't matter. I'm allowed to fight that guy, find out which gym he trains at. So the correction doesn't save anyone, it just tells them where to go. Meanwhile, Duk-yeok is back in a cast, cheerfully explaining he only used it lightly. His friend points out that as an athlete he should be more careful, and Duk-yeok's reply is that there were no CCTV cameras there, which is not what he meant at all. Then the quietest gut punch in the arc. Kyung-wook, one of Jin-tae's classmates, admits he'd been bullied since middle school and expected the same in high school, until Jin-tae became the target instead. He says he never thought it could happen to a kid who was good at studying with a good family, and that thanks to Jin-tae, he wasn't the target, and at the time he was really glad about that. He's been carrying that ever since. And the answer he gets is the kindest line in the chapter. Kyung-wook, it wasn't your fault. You're one of the victims too. Nobody in this school gets to be simply guilty or simply innocent. So they get to the gym, and Kyung-wook nervously asks if maybe he should exercise too. Duk-yeok is thrilled, tells him it's a good decision because you have to know how to protect yourself, and the kid immediately asks to think about it first. Think after you've done it. Newcomer, 1,000 skips. And then the coach spots the new cast, and it's over. Another one? Do you want to quit boxing? Duk-yeok says he had no choice and gets told that it doesn't matter whose fault it was. Then the real hit, I've told your father, and he's on his way here now. So they go and grab Duk-yeok's friends to draw him out, and this time there's a camera involved. B-Clan's leader, Kim Sung-woon, fresh out of youth detention, and the instruction to his guy is precise. Get a good shot the moment Kwon Duk-yeok swings his fist. That's the actual weapon, not the fists, the footage. One clip of a registered competitor throwing a punch and his boxing career is finished, and they know it, which is why the camera came before the fight did. Duk-yeok arrives, and Sung-woon offers terms. Get on your knees and apologize to my friend, and I'll spare your lives. Duk-yeok's answer is 2 words long, then make me. And his friend is begging him to stop. Don't get into a dangerous fight because of me, which is the exact thing that guarantees he's going to. Kyung-wook has spent this whole arc learning that somebody being hurt for your sake is worse than being hurt yourself. Then Han-joon walks in. The one guy Sung-min brings when one guy is enough, and he isn't here to fight, he's here to ask questions, which is somehow more alarming for everyone present. And his questions are good ones. Samjoon says it wasn't Kwon Duk-yeok at the pool hall, but nobody could confirm it because the room was pitch dark. The C-Clan say Duk-yeok beat them in the hallway, but they also said there was someone else in the library. Then the question this entire series has been walking toward. Is it true that Kwon Duk-yeok did this to you? Because if the answer is no, the next question is who? And the only remaining candidate is a boy. Everyone calls Idiot Jin. And somebody starts to answer. He gets as far as, "Oh, that, I'll tell you." And then Sung-woon attacks, and the room goes up before the sentence lands. Majino's secret survives on a timing accident. The cameraman gets a few frames off, and immediately decides to take a few more pictures and then flee, which is the single most sensible plan anyone has in this chapter. Duk-yeok breaks the camera instead. And people are watching this thinking it's beyond the rumors, but with one caveat, everybody keeps repeating. His arm isn't in its best state. He's fighting a fresh out-of-detention specialist while wearing a cast he shouldn't have taken off. And what Kim Sung-woon is actually known for is that he only attacks weak points, so the arm is the whole plan. He doesn't need to be better, he needs to hit the same spot enough times. Duk-yeok agrees with him out loud. You're right, my hand isn't at its best right now, so what, taking advantage of it, is that your plan? Then he quotes his favorite boxer, and it's the best line in the chapter. Everyone can have their own cunning plan, but only until you hit their mouth. Then he goes to work, and somebody in the crowd just says, "You're not joking, huh?" Jaeyoung asks his sister why she told everyone it was Kwon Duk-yeok and whether she did it to cover for Jin-tae, and Jaehee's answer is the sentence this whole series has been building toward. About Jin-tae. He's not the Jin-tae we know, because after she sent her mother home, she saw him at the hospital, and she followed it, and the thing she found is a VIP intensive care room. And she runs through the possibilities the way anyone would. Who would Jin-tae be visiting in the ICU? A friend? He doesn't have one. A parent? Nobody said anyone's sick, and besides, if it were family, they'd be at their own hospital. So she gets into the staff changing room, waits for the right moment, and looks. And what she tells her brother afterwards is not a theory. The one lying in that ICU room was definitely Jin-tae. 2 people now know the boy at school isn't the boy in the bed, and Jae-young's response is that he has to see it with his own eyes. That clock is running for the rest of this story. Meanwhile, Sung-woon says he has a plan, and Duk-yeok tells him it'd be nicer if he got a cunning one instead. His arm is visibly finished and everyone in the alley can see it. Then Sung-woon says the thing that changes what this fight is about. He doesn't actually want to fight a guy who's supposed to be competing in a tournament. He wants the other one. And his description of him is chilling, because it's accurate. The guy who didn't attack me back then even though he could. He only stood still behind me, and then disappeared without a sound. So the offer is simple. Bring him to me and I'll let you all go. And then, the request that tells you what he actually wants, please make it easy for me, just like that guy did. He isn't chasing revenge, he's chasing the feeling. And nobody gives him up. Dukyok says it's an interesting plan, but he has no idea who's being described, then turns to Gyeongwook, who immediately says, yeah, I really don't get it. And the reason he gives internally is the best character beat Dukyok gets. What am I thinking? Jintae isn't that kind of person. He's protecting a version of his friend that stopped existing weeks ago, and he'd rather take the beating than update it. So Sungwoon shrugs and says, fine, if I beat you here, that guy will show up anyway, so it works out either way. Which is correct, and it's the trap Majino keeps walking into all series. Hurt his people, and he arrives. And the fight goes badly. Dukyok's punches have lost speed and power, the arm is at its limit, and Sungwoon hit exactly the place he was always going to hit. He offers one last chance to hand the guy over, and Dukyok tells him to focus on what's in front of his eyes. Yeji calls with the thing that could end the entire mystery. Her uncle has a friend from his MIT days working at a private lab in the States, and he'll run a DNA test off the books. Illegal, so it takes time, but it's possible. The problem is a sample. Jintae doesn't have a toothbrush lying around anymore, so she asks Majino to go into the ICU room and pull out one of his hairs. And then, just in case, get his parents' hair too. So that's the question finally being asked out loud. Not are we lookalikes, but are we brothers? And is the man calling himself his father actually his father? All of it comes down to a hair off a boy in a coma. And the whole time this call is happening, somebody else is trying to reach him and getting the engaged tone. Who is he talking to for this long? That's the timing this chapter runs on. Because Dukyok is in an alley losing, and the person who turns up is his father, who has been dragged back into this again, complaining that he goes back and forth trying to raise his son into a champion. And the complaint hits differently once you know the rest. He doesn't train like I tell him, he's always caught up in accidents, and he ends up injuring his arm. Every one of those accidents was him protecting somebody. Meanwhile, Gyeongwook, the kid who agreed to start exercising about an hour ago, ditches his 1,000 skips to run and get the coach. Master, please help, quickly, Dukyok's caught up in another fight. Which is its own small character beat. The boy who spent years being glad somebody else was the target is now sprinting toward the trouble instead of away from it. And in the alley, Sungwoon has done his maths correctly. He's sure the right arm has become a burden by now, and he's right. Everything after that is just him picking the same target over and over. So Dukyok decides he has to end it in one blow because he doesn't have a second one in him, and he commits everything to that single punch. It doesn't land the way he needs it to. His arm gives out, and he goes down with people screaming his name from the end of the alley. And then somebody arrives, and the crew clock him and dismiss him as some drunk old man wandering in, right up until one of them looks properly and stops mid-sentence. He's not. That guy. Because the one thing Kim Sungwoon asked for all chapter was for somebody to bring him the guy who stood behind him in the dark and left without a sound. And nobody had to. Dukyok going down was always going to be enough. Sungwoon doesn't stop when Dukyok goes down. He keeps working on him and repeating the same demand at Hanjun. Tell him to come to me. And Hanjun keeps saying he doesn't know who's being talked about, which is true and useless. And his read on why they're not cooperating is chilling in how casual it is. I see, so you still don't feel the urgency. He's not angry, he's adjusting the price until someone pays it. So they pay it. Somebody screams at him to stop, that Dukyok's hand is severely injured, that he won't be able to box for 1 to 2 years now. That's the cost, said out loud, while the guy is still standing over him. 1 to 2 years. The competitions, the thing he rebuilt his entire life around, the promise he made his father and made Jintae. Gone, because a kid wanted to meet somebody who once walked away from him in the dark. And Sungwoon's only reaction is to check that this will work. That guy will avenge his friend, right? Then he tells them to pass on the message. Tell him I'll be waiting. The saddest line belongs to somebody in that alley thinking if his arm hadn't been injured, which is exactly why it was chosen. Nobody in this story ever fights anyone at full strength. That's the whole point of the ladder. Meanwhile, Majino is home, on the hunt for DNA. Hair, a toothbrush, anything, and if possible from Jintae's parents too. He's genuinely walking around a billionaire's house asking himself whether the master bathroom is this way. And what he walks into instead is the parents' marriage with the door open, the mother crying, the father demanding to know what she's doing, how long she's going to keep this up, and then the number that reframes the entire series. It's already been 18 years. Stop it. 18 years. Majino and Jintae are the same age. Whatever she has been crying about for 18 years started when those boys were born. And she screams the thing she's clearly been holding for all of it. You're not even a human. Then he tells her to shut up and the noise stops. So now the drinking makes sense. She isn't a spoiled rich woman who likes wine, the way the father described her in chapter 6. She's been medicating something for 18 years, and everyone in that house has agreed to call it drunkenness. Then the phone rings, and the switch is instant. Ah, yes, father-in-law. Yes, yes. We just got back from a couple's gathering. Smooth, warm, completely normal, with his wife still crying on the floor behind him. And when the grandfather asks about her, the answer is ready-made. Did she fall asleep because she's too drunk? That's the cover story, and it's been running so long that even her own father believes it. Dukhyok's hand has gotten worse, and Yeji finally asks Majino the question straight. Hanjun has been hunting for whoever beat Sunjun at the pool hall and Jaeyoung at the library. Was that person you? And Majino doesn't deny it, he just asks her to text him when Dukhyok wakes up. And when she asks what he's going to do, his answer is completely calm. Didn't you say he was looking for me? Then I have to go meet him. Then Jae-hee finds him and asks it too. Are you really Jin Jin-tae? And he looks straight at her and says, yeah, your friend Jin Jin-tae, which is a lie and, by this point in the story, also sort of true. Cut to the real Jin-tae's room, where nurses are chatting about setting the boys up on blind dates, and one of them mentions what she overheard, that the patient jumped from a rooftop. And Jae-young hears it. To that extent, Jin Jin-tae? Then he says the only thing he can. I was just trying to raise my grades a bit. Then the realization lands properly. I must have been one of many bullies. I thought you were the most cheerful person I've ever met. I didn't know. That's the guy who ran the cheating ring, finding out what he was part of. So the siblings try to work out who's walking around wearing his face, maybe a double the father brought in. But he looks exactly the same. And their conclusion is the smartest thing anyone said. There might be something we don't know, and you know what kind of man Jin-tae's father is. And they see the danger before Majino does. The clans will eventually work out that Jin-tae has been taking revenge on them. Hanjun already knows it wasn't Kwon Duk-hyuk. That's the net closing. So should they tell Jin-tae's father? Absolutely not, because if adults get involved, they're the ones who lose. And then the name that's been circling the whole arc gets explained. 12th grader Seo Ji-woon. One word from Seo Ji-woon's father and Jin-tae's family gets blown away like dust, and theirs too. That's the tier above a man who buys police and burns down orphanages, and this school has one sitting in the 12th grade. But the thing that actually makes Ji-woon frightening is that he doesn't use any of it. No parents, no money, no authority. He built his own kingdom with his own power, and the unspoken rule under him is that everything gets solved without adults. And there's precedent. Somebody once brought adults into it. Ji-woon walked away untouched, and that person's entire family was destroyed. That's the rule Majino has been obeying all series without knowing who wrote it. Then the news comes in. Hanjun beat Kwon Duk-hyuk into a pulp, and the warning that comes with it, this guy might get torn to pieces before he ever reaches Kang Sung-min or Seo Ji-woon. Because Hanjun, retired or not, was once a junior karate champion. Majino walks up to Hanjun, and Hanjun half recognizes him. You must have seen me at school, he says, the one you guys always call Loser Jin-tae. And Hanjun goes, Loser Jin-tae? I think I've heard that before. And then he explains himself, and he's the most honest person in this entire story. I'm not interested in that. I want to fight you and win. That's all I want to do. So Majino asks the question, is fighting fun? Did you beat Duk-hyuk, who had nothing to do with this, just to get a fight with me? And Hanjun's answer is, then you can beat me too. Problem solved. Is it that simple? Yeah, it's that simple, so go ahead. Well, if you can. There's no cruelty in him and no cheating either. He broke a boy's career because it was the fastest way to book a match. And then the chapter finally gives us Majino's origin, and it starts with a song. Little kids circling him singing that Majino's an orphan, that he's got no parents and no home. He fights all of them and loses, and a man breaks it up and asks the obvious question. They're bigger and smarter than you, so why did you fight them? And the kids' answer is the whole series. They're bad kids who make fun of weak people and beat them for fun. They'll keep bullying me until I die if I stay put. I'll fight even if bigger and scarier ones come. The man warns him he could die early living that fearlessly. And the kid says he isn't scared at all, because he was born with nothing, so he's got nothing to lose anyway. That's a child saying that. So the man tells him to come after school and he'll teach him to protect himself. And the kid immediately assumes it's a sales pitch for the gym and says he can't afford it. He can't even go in there anymore. So instead, for years, every single day, he trained at an abandoned construction site nearby. No gym, no coach, no team. Just an empty building and a kid who decided not to stay put. And it worked. He shot up, his build filled out, and by middle school, not even high schoolers would touch him. Somebody tells him it's a shame he doesn't fight for a living with a body like that. The master gave him one present for starting middle school, never gave his name, and was never seen again. And the words Majino has been carrying since, those who trample on others for fun, pay them back with the same amount, which is what he's been doing this entire series, to the letter. Meanwhile, the crowd watching this fight has already called it. Is that really Loser Jin-tae? Serves him right. He's no match for Hanjun. It'll be over in a few more punches. Majino keeps asking Hanjun the same question mid-fight. Do you find it funny? This fight? Do you still find it funny? And Hanjun starts laughing, because yeah, this is it. It's been a while since he felt this. This is fun. His crowd goes up, saying he survived, that there's no way he breaks down like that now Hanjan will show his true self. And Hanjan is telling him to attack again, quickly, because he's been waiting for an exhilarating fight like this. Then Majino answers him properly. Is that so? It's not fun to me. And the crowd starts noticing things they can't explain, like whether Jintei somehow got faster and stronger, and then the detail that should terrify everyone watching. That's Hanjun's technique. He's using a retired junior karate champion's own moves against him mid-fight, having seen them for the first time about 90 seconds ago. So it ends the way the pool hall ended. It's not fun at all. You're too weak. Said to the guy everyone in this school treats as the final boss of the tier below the top. Then Majino asks whether that guy was the boss, and gets told to watch his mouth, because the boss is a third year, Seo Jiwoon, and that you'll die once Jiwoon returns. And his reply is the biggest swing he's taken in the whole series. Then tell him not to return. If you mess with me or my friends, all of Iljan will be burnt to ashes. Which is the first time he's said the word friends out loud. He came to this school to find out who he was. He's now openly declaring war on an entire hierarchy over a boxer and a girl with bricks in her bag. Then Yeji sees the state of him and asks if he fought again, if he got beaten up. His answer, it's not a big deal, I was bitten by mosquitoes. And he hands over what he went into that house for. Jintai's parents' hair and toothbrushes, and Jintai's own hair, which he found on clothes hanging in a closet. The DNA test is now real, and it's going to the lab. She asks how it is at home, whether it's bearable, and he says, you know how I've lived before, everything's just fine, which from him is not reassurance, it's a comparison. Then an unknown number calls, and it's Jingu from the orphanage, and it's the happiest scene in 32 chapters. Things have been great since you left. The food is delicious. They gave us brand new school supplies and clothes. Majino tells him that's good to hear, and that he has to study hard, and the kid goes, study? What's that? So the deal is working. The children he sold himself for are eating well. That's what the father actually bought. Here's the answer to the question this whole story started with. Jae-hee says it outright. All of the incidents were the third-year boss Seo Ji-woon's doing. Seo Ji-woon made Jintei like that. Their families have been invited to Seo Ji-woon's family events for years, parents who were either friends or business partners. And none of the kids could ever make friends with Ji-woon, because since childhood he's been a famous genius. Instruments, sports, art, there's nothing he can't do. He didn't even go to school. University professors came to his house to teach him. And there was one problem that was too difficult even for him, which he'd been working at for a long time. And Jintei wandered past, found it by chance, and solved it on the spot. Because nobody ever knew how smart Jintei actually was. He'd been hiding it, probably because of the pressure from his father. He may not even have known the problem was hard. He might have done it out of curiosity. And Seo Ji-woon watched him do it, and quit every one of his lessons that day. And Jintei never showed any extraordinary ability again, ever. Because Ji-woon, whose pride was destroyed in that one moment, nearly killed Jintei, and almost killed himself too, because he couldn't control it, over one solved problem. Jaehee's summary, he looks normal, but he's a complete psycho. And here's the part that ties it to everything else. Jintei's father and grandfather buried that incident in exchange for hundreds of billions of won invested into their hospital's research foundation. They sold the attempt on their son's life for funding. So Jintei got quieter, more frightened of going outside, and then he was sent to Samcheong High, the same school as Seo Ji-woon. And his only two friends, Jae Young and Jae-hee, went over to Ji-woon's side and helped harass him. That's the whole machine. The bullies, the cheating ring, the clans, the father's silence, the rooftop, all of it runs back to one boy who couldn't stand being beaten at something once. And then we finally meet him, and he's been watching the entire time. That was quite fun, he says. I was just watching how things were going. Then the only thing he actually wants to know, who the hell is that person pretending to be Jintei? And to show you what he is, he's got the boss of another school on the floor, spitting blood, begging to be spared, promising never to come near Samcheong again. Ji-woon's terms, order your underlings not to even let their eyes meet my kids, or I'll make you crawl on all fours. Then he turns to Kang Sung-min, the guy at the top of Samcheong, and tells him to capture that jerk personally. It's possible, right? And Sung-min says, don't lump me in with everyone else. I'll bring him to you by tomorrow. And that's where we leave it. Majino gets cornered in the school by Hong Jae-young, who says Kang Sung-min sent him, there's no place to run in this school, and then asks the question that's been the whole series, are you Jintei? So tell me in the comments what you think the DNA test comes back as, because that lab result is still out there. And if you want the rest of this, subscribe, because it only gets